I will not stand for the David Stearns slander. We're going to get into some of the comments in regard to what is happening with Frankie Montas. Was it the right deal or the wrong deal? Plus, Tom Verducci gives us where the New York Mets lineup stacks. How is it going to match up with the best in the game? And next on MetCast. What's going on, Met fans? Welcome back to another episode of MetCast. And as always, if you're enjoying this content, I ask you to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss any New York Mets content or an upload. And now it's been a couple of hours since the Frankie Montas news has broken, and we've had a little bit of time to digest what's going on with him. He has that right lat injury that's going to sideline him 6 to 8 weeks before he starts to throw. And then our guy Pat Ragazzo said he's going to need a full month, potentially a full spring training, to get back into the action. So we're looking at probably May at the earliest of him returning to baseball. Now, there's several options out there that we spoke about earlier, a la maybe Jose Quintana with the New York Mets swing for a big fish and Cesar King, which I do not see happening. Or could you see them going after more of a fifth, sixth type starter? Would they look at Brandon Sproat? Probably not, in my opinion, but some people have just gone off their rocker when it comes to these reactions, especially over at WFAN. I want to get to one reaction from Sal Licata. Let's take a look.
This year it's like, hey, you know what? You shut me up once. I'm going to sit back and watch you go to work. Do your thing. And they choose Montas. And that was the one I said, man, even with trusting David Stearns, Montas? Like, this is the guy you're going to go in on? To a point where I started to think, hey, maybe Montas could be pretty good.
You know what? Who had that reaction last year? Luis Severino? Sean Manaea? It was the exact same reaction most Met fans, probably including myself, had heading into the 2024 season. It's very easy to sit here and play Monday morning quarterback. Oh, everybody knew Sean Manaea was going to turn into an ace, and Luis Severino was going to put up solid number 2 numbers, which he did this last year, coming off a 10 ERA with the New York Yankees. Everybody, I'm sure Sal knew that, right?
Well, I should have trusted my initial instinct. I was right. Stearns was wrong. Frankie Montas is useless. You could have spent that money elsewhere, like Walker Buehler. Already, before you get started, you're losing one of your prized possessions in the offseason as far as that rotation goes. Now, they'll be fine. You know, Tyler McGill will take his spot. They have depth in the rotation, which is okay. Not the end of the world. But Boy Genius, who had a great first year.
I hate that. Boy Genius. You know what? For the Met fans, including Sal, including anybody else out there who do not appreciate what David Stearns has done for this team, shame on you. And I'll tell you why. The guy's been here one season. One. And we came within a couple of games of the damn World Series, for crying out loud. And you're going to sit here and call him Boy Genius? He brought in Ryan Stanek last year. How did that work after the deadline? He brought in a guy like Jesse Winker for pretty much absolutely nothing. How did that work? Not every move has worked. Brazoban didn't work out, but plenty of the moves that he did work out. He brought back Pete Alonso. He brought in Juan Soto. But we're just going to throw that to the wind. How about getting Sean Manaea to take the furrows, to take less money to come back to this team? We're not going to credit him with that either, right? He only gets credit for the bad things, and anything good that happens to this team, it's only Steve Cohen, right? It's absolutely ridiculous to go after a guy like David Stearns for the Frankie Montas. He's not going to bat 100, not going to bat 1,000. It's ridiculous. And for anybody to get on him about a 4th or 5th type starter, now, did he jump the gun in Montas? Probably. But at the end of the day, we don't know. The starting pitching market started out hot. It looked like people are going to get crazy deals. You had guys like Max Fried, who can't stay on the field, get 8 years from the Yankees. Blake Snell, another guy who's up and down with anybody, get crazy amount of money from the Dodgers. But to sit here and dog on David Stearns over Frankie Montas, there's plenty of depth in this rotation. Plus, you have Brandon Sproat. Plus, they might still add an arm. We don't know. But to go after David Stearns over a Frankie Montas signing, yes, $17.5 million. You could have spent it somewhere else. But you know what? At that time when he signed, nobody knew that. Everyone expected Walker Buehler to get a 2 or 3 year contract. Everyone expected Jack Flaherty to get a 3 or 4 year contract. Nobody knew this was the way the market was going to turn out. And David Stearns jumped early because he's proven time and time again his way works. It works. Look at last year. That's all you need to see. He turned 2 guys who couldn't get jobs anywhere and made them a boatload of money. Both got 3-year contracts. Shame on you, Sal. I expect better. I know you got to kind of get a little bit of reaction for WFA, and I understand all that. But to go after him, call him boy genius, that's beneath you, Sal.
Year 2, all of a sudden, already with the Frankie Montas, that one he was begging. Stearns was begging. You were begging to get ripped with that, Frankie Montas. And here we are.
What's the pivot here? I think, and I know that you just laid out some of the younger names, whether it's McGill, Peters.
And there's still a chance that he's back in May and pitches. He pitched a full year last year. What if he misses the first month, but then he comes back and he's good? You won't be complaining then.
And who I do like.
Sometimes you got to let things play out.
Obviously, Senga's coming back here. You got to go get Dylan Cease. I mean, you got to
another ridiculous take. Brandon, you know you're my guy. You've been on my show before. It's a ridiculous take. Because we lose Frankie Montas, our 4th or 5th starter, we got to go out and get one of the best arms in the game and give up an arm and a leg. That's ridiculous.
Engage the Padres for Dylan Cease.
To me, that is ridiculous. You don't need to re-engage the Padres on Dylan Cease. Every team out there now is going to try to rip off the New York Mets if they try to acquire an arm. Realistically, Jose Quintana's the move. 1 year, $10 million plus escalators depending on how many games he starts, how many innings he pitches, whatever you want to put out there, the ERA he pitches to, whatever you want to put out there. But to me, that is the pivot, Jose Quintana. Now, enough of this stuff. I want to get over to Tom Verducci, who had a great segment in regard to the New York Mets, where their lineup ranks, and pretty much what they're looking for, the power game and whatnot. Let's take a look.
Through some of that. Why are Met fans so excited beyond the obvious? Soto and $765 million. Good morning.
Yeah, that's a good place to start, though. I mean, listen, Juan Soto showed up yesterday, right? And it was not really a circus because he's not really that kind of a player. Yes, he's the highest contract in professional sports history, but he's a corner outfielder, and really his stock in trade, you know this, Matt, he's just so productive, and it's the industry of Juan Soto, the fact that he posts every day and puts up numbers. And you look at this Mets team, and yeah, absolutely fun team to be around. There's no question about it. Talented team. But you look now at Lindor, Soto, Pete Alonso showed up today.
Oof.
These guys love to play every day. So I don't see it as a circus atmosphere. There's excitement. And as Juan Soto said, I'm just one of the guys here.
Those are the Yankee fans' circus atmosphere. Why? 'Cause there's a bunch of great players together.
It's going to take a team for us, not just me, for us to win, but certainly tremendous amount of excitement. And Juan told me actually yesterday, his first day, he was a little nervous. He didn't know a lot of guys in the clubhouse, at least not well, and he was glad to have yesterday behind him.
So there are the new players like
I find that a little funny. Juan Soto's nervous.
Juan Soto, and then there are the incumbents around whom there is a raised expectation, and one of them is a former National League batting champ that we understand is bringing some new hardware to the circus this year.
Yeah, this is really interesting because as I go around camps, Matt, I like to see what's different. You know, there tends to be this routine to spring training. Right away with Jeff McNeil, I saw what was different. His bat. You remember back in the day, he had one of those old school bats, no knob at the bottom, thick handle, and he gets in the cage and had live BP, and it's a different bat. It's a more traditional one with that knob at the bottom. I asked him about it, and if you recall, in the second half of last season, Jeff slugged over 500. And in the offseason, he said, you know what? I want to continue to do that, to hit for power, not for average. He worked especially on getting his bat speed up. And to do that, he went to the more traditional bat. So I think if you're the Mets, you're looking at Jeff McNeil, not as the former batting champion, but as a guy who's going to give you some pop at second base right now.
You know, Tom, Ron.
I'm not personally a fan of that. I want McNeil hitting gap to gap. I'm not looking for home runs. We've seen this time and time again with Jeff McNeil. He flies out to the warning track or flies out to mid center field or left field time and time again. I don't want him putting the ball in the air. I want him being that old-time batting champion. Go hit 300 with 10 home runs. I'm more than happy to have that at second base in the lower half of the lineup. I don't want him looking for home runs because when he doesn't get them, he goes into these huge slumps. We've seen it time and time again.
Darling here. I'm interested in a couple seasons ago, Ronnie Mauricio really made an impact down the stretch for the Mets. Where's he at health-wise coming off that knee injury?
Well, I'm glad you brought him up because he's an X factor to me, Ronnie. He's healthy, but he's progressing towards that full health. Remember, he missed the whole season last year with that knee injury, so he's not going to be an opening day guy for the Mets. But it's just a matter of getting out there and playing. Now, he did play winter ball and absolutely pour it up in a small sample size. Here's, I believe, what you can expect. Sometime middle of the season, Mauricio is going to force his way into this Mets lineup. You look at his numbers there, he's got really nothing to prove in AAA, except just go there and play and get the reps. But I'm telling you,
292 and 23 and 116
games. He's going to be a
games.
difference maker. Where does he
That's
fit in?
35
Likely
home runs.
Third base.
35 home
DH
runs and
at-bats,
290 plus.
or at DH. He's a potential 2020 guy in the big leagues with tremendous pop in his bat. He's turning 24 years old. He's ready to play other than just getting the reps behind him. And I think he's the key in terms of deepening this Mets lineup. We all know about the top, but there's going to be a lot of thump towards the back half of this lineup.
And that's what you have from Tom Verducci. Love him. Great analysis on the New York Mets. Let me know if you guys agree with me. I don't want Jeff McNeil swinging for the fence at Citi Field. It's a big ballpark. Keep it a gap to gap. Line drives, get on base, turn this lineup over for the top of the lineup, especially with Francisco Lindor leading off. If you have McNeil at, dare I say, 8 or 9, he's going to come up a lot with Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Vientos, and Nimmo coming up right behind him. That's going to be the runners on that Lindor's going to need on that second time around in the order. But again, let me know what you guys think down below. I'm very excited for Ronnie Mauricio. Never forget, 117 miles an hour off the bat. The guy's got one of the best exit velos throughout the minor leagues. 290s projected to be in the 30 home run range. He's going to be that type of major league player. You heard it right there from Verducci. He's going to be a 2020 type guy. But guys, that's what I have for you today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Is Sal overreacting or am I wrong here? You let me know. We'll keep bringing you Mets content as it comes. As always, let's go Mets.